Welcome to the Meeple Syrup After Show, Designers Discussing Design. We're episode 70, and it's still diplomatic immunity during this after show. Thanks. We have both Jim and Travis here with us during the after show. We didn't scare them away, or they didn't scare us away. That could have happened. And we still kept Sen and myself, and Dylan, all the way from Paris, is here with us. We're really excited he's here. And so, as you might know, or if you don't know, we film the after show as kind of an opportunity for even the host to get in on the conversation, and also the conversation's a little no holds barred. So we don't really follow a formula. We kind of talk about everything. I've already promised Jim that we would talk about Star Wars and how he thinks it sucks. So we might as well go there. I know Travis hates Star Wars just because of his childhood. Maybe we'll get into that as well. Did I throw enough hooks?
I don't know, man.
Into the water? I don't know.
I mean, my dislike for Star Wars is pretty well known. I did go to this. I'm one of these people that, like, I own the original trilogy, and even though I don't like it, and I'll still watch it, it's usually about a 4-year cycle. Also,
You're like a masochist or something.
Maybe I'm wrong, and I watch it, and like my wife and I just tried to watch it recently, and she just looked at me. We were like an hour in, and she's like, episode 4, she's like, God, this is so boring. And I'm like, the main character they hired a gymnast to be the main character. I just don't get it at all.
So this would probably sound like torture, but I went to the theater at 4:30 a.m. and watched all the movies in a row before getting to watch the new release on opening day.
I like you, but you're an idiot.
Oh, you don't have to like him. He's still an idiot.
But what do you think, Jim? Why does Star Wars suck?
It was so mediocre. We were just talking about this before we came over to this link. It was so mediocre. So many poor choices, safe choices, just to make sure that everybody was appeased, but nobody was happy. And you can't make a marketing promise of, we're going to put these 3 tired old sags of flesh on the screen and then wedge them into a script without having any justification for why they would still be in the story 30 years later. There's a problem when the scroll is coming up at the very beginning and the first words are Luke Skywalker is missing. Holy crap. That's not how you open any of these movies. It's all about, it's a Star Wars. It's not Luke Skywalker Wars. It's Star Wars. Talk about the world. What's happened in 30 years? We're going to open with, he's gone. Oh, no, he left home and he didn't write a message to Mom. Let's go find him. It's been 30 years since he wrote me a letter.
No, he's gone. Everyone in the galaxy's looking for him. Let's send Chewbacca and a teenage girl we met 30 minutes ago to go find him. The entire galaxy's looking for him. A stranger and essentially a werewolf.
Well, he's in this convenient wedge of map that we didn't have before. I don't know how we didn't study this part of space, but he's in that piece of map that the R2 unit has.
I almost feel like this is a metaphor for what we were talking about before.
I feel like you're right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but the only thing I didn't really appreciate about the movie was that it was really, you could have watched episode 4 or 6, and it's the same movie.
Yeah, I did watch those.
It's not even the same movie because it's a worse movie. I didn't think it was possible to be worse than 6.
Oh.
But it was worse. It was worse than 6.
Nothing's worse than Jar Jar.
Okay.
I rewatched the prequels, and I actually like the prequels more than the original.
Okay, get off my feet.
I would rather see Jar Jar than lava surfing. I'm sorry, but lava surfing is where you lose me.
Yeah, okay, I get you.
So at what point is this just us being aesthetes and not liking bad art? Like, is the whole dumbing down of movies?
It was popular.
Exactly. Like,
it made a lot of people
Can you argue against popularity? Can you argue against the highest-grossing film of all time or whatever? Like, can we say that?
I mean, like a few months before that, Jurassic World was the highest grossing. I mean, it's like, Zoe Deschanel is gonna, Zoe Deschanel's gonna piss in a hat in a month, and that'll be the highest grossing film of all time. It doesn't mean anything. It's a contest. It's a penis measuring contest with
what
movies.
would the game equivalent of that be?
Well, that's what I mean. It's entertainment, though. It's not
Dominion.
art. It made a bunch of people happy, though.
Yeah. Speaking of making a bunch of people happy in games, what is your thought? I don't know if you guys have played Pandemic Legacy, but what's your thought of Pandemic Legacy being #1 on the BGG list?
It's just groupthink.
You played it?
I'm playing it right now. I think it's cool. I mean, like, I feel like here's where Pandemic Legacy started. I have two theories. Either I feel like Rob just at some point was like, you know what? I kind of like stickers. Like that's just where like it started. Or either this. It's like Matt Leacock is like, holy shit, man. I don't think people are gonna play Pandemic anymore. How could I force a person to play Pandemic a bunch of times in a row without holding a shotgun to their chest? And then Rob was like, stickers? Like.
Oh, I have not heard that argument. That's awesome.
And Jim, what are your thoughts on Pandemic Legacy?
I think on it being the #1 game,
Yeah.
that's just confirmation bias, right? That's just I spent a lot of money on this. I played it a bunch of times. I want everybody else to have to suffer along with me.
So was Twilight Struggle confirmation bias? Is Agricola confirmation bias?
I think
other #1s.
I think Agricola is. I don't think Twilight Struggle is. I think Twilight Struggle made some amazing design choices, right? And it's a brutal game that you regret every decision you make 5 turns later.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the mark of a good design, right? That you're thinking about it and you're talking about it for a long time. I think a lot of people spend a lot of money on Legacy. They're upset that they're having to ruin their copy, which is just a marketing ploy to make sure that you can't give your copy to somebody else so they can play it when you're done. And I think people are going to give it 10 points because they're out 50, 80, $100, whatever it costs, and they're not going to be able to do it again.
It's interesting because I actually think there's some psychological elements to the destructibility of the game, but we don't have to talk about that today.
Sure, and there could be a pastiche to that. That's fine. I'm not going to argue that, but it is a marketing ploy, so you can't hand it off. That is its #1 drive, destroying that game.
But
otherwise, they wouldn't sell 2 copies.
Isn't it like it's like to me? It's like if someone said, "Hey, I went to this restaurant the other day and they had a sandwich that you can't eat." Like, it was amazing.
Isn't that every sandwich that you've ate?
No,
I
but
can't
it's
eat
like-
the sandwich you just ate.
Imagine a board game that you destroy over time rather than thing you enjoy forever.
Well, that's the huge argument for board games has always been like, wow, you spend as much as you would for a family movie night, and you get to play it forever. And now we're making board games consumable?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's an
and
interesting
the blue
thing.
one costs more than the red one.
I
You guys
just
seen that?
Well, on Amazon.
I want to see like just a B-52 bomber fly over like Namibia and just drop all the minis from Risk Legacy just into the desert because they don't know what the hell to do with them.
That's a nice crossover. Do I get to keep my points from Legacy, Pandemic Legacy, over to Risk Legacy?
That'd be fun.
That's the ecosystem.
That's the ecosystem, yeah. Another Rob Davio thing. So.
Isn't that just like the most gross form of consumerism, just to make something that it's like, what are the 2 most offensive things we can make it of? Well, babies are out of the question, so we can't make
Let's make it about Ebola.
Yeah. They're like, we'll cut down trees and make a board game. Let's make a highly, not ecologically friendly board game.
I hope it has toxic ink in it. I really do. I think that would be the
What
that would be the piece de resistance.
What if in Legacy you just opened like one of those little boxes and like suffering of Chinese people came out of it instead? Like, oh God.
I don't know if you can bottle my suffering, so I'll try.
Coca-Cola can.
They can do kind of anything.
They'll just have a few of your tears captured, Sam.
Oh, hey Jim, do you want to, Sir, this guy Sir Bob. This is Sir Bob is
Sir Bob is Travis's best friend.
I mean, you know, not really. If he's saying, well, aren't RPG characters consumable, and then the question mark is outside the quotes instead of inside it.
I don't understand what I'm being asked.
Which, according to the Chicago Manual of Style, is actually allowable depending on the circumstances.
Yes, we had an argument about that at work at once.
It's like the 4-dot ellipses at the end of Star Wars, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them.
You had a lot of time on your hands to count periods.
No, that is a very common irritating thing. That's like a thing that like a 15-year-old girl to let you know she's mad or something. We go 1, 2, 3, 4.
How many 15-year-old girls are mad at you, Travis?
Yeah, that's awesome.
He can't talk about it right now. There's a case pending.
Yeah. Do you have like a little ankle bracelet that we don't know about, buddy?
No,
You did say it's from Florida.
it's like like lazy internet net talk, net slang crap, like where the people, or it's like when a person does
I'm too old for that shit.
question mark. Don't do question mark or question mark. There is no two question marks.
One
No
or
two.
three,
You do one, you
not
do three.
two,
But
not
do
two.
not send two.
Do not send two.
5 is right out, and thou
Exactly, I
shalt
was
not
gonna
count
say that.
to 4.
That's that. But, you should get Nick on. We should get my.
Thou shalt throw the holy hand
Oh,
grenade
is
at
Nick
thine
even
enemies.
more anal about punctuation than you are?
You want to get Nick on here and get him talking about singular there? He'll blow your friggin' mind.
I was just gonna say, I feel like if we got Jim talking also about like fonts and card setups.
Okay,
If you want to upset me, use singular there in Comic Sans. That would be the
I
best.
actually have to say about singular there, as of like last year, it was officially just accepted as a singular pronoun in some style guides. And also, you have to remember that whenever we say you, we're actually using the plural. Because the actual singular second person is thee and thou in English. And we just chose to drop that and use you, and
You are
we
correct.
even dropped ye. So, if you want to talk about singulars and plurals, I'm afraid we've already done this before.
Yeah, but like a million years ago.
600 years, I think it was.
Yeah,
Man,
The problem,
just draw little pictures like we do. Holy cow! You people with your weird like orthography and graphemes and crap. Just
Conjugation, for Christ's sake. What the hell is that?
well, now you're in France, like the country of conjugation, right? Well,
Jim,
any romantic country, but still.
there's about 45 minutes north of me. There's a town called Gas City, Indiana, and on their big water tower by the interstate, their name is in Comic Sans. And I remember when my wife and I were driving here to look for houses the first time, I said, "Oh my God, is that Comic Sans?" And then my wife just looks at me and she goes, "Maybe they're not very proud of their town."
Oh, that's good. Should we talk about Oxford commas while we're at it, or no? No.
I am the Oxford comma guy.
I
I'm
am
100% Oxford comma.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Daryl, don't get left out, man.
Well,
Daryl doesn't know what that is.
Oh, Daryl, you know pretty Oxford commas.
I don't.
Daryl, you're
I don't-
out. You're off the
I don't
island. You
know
don't get
grammar.
immunity today.
I don't know grammar.
Then you've never had Daryl submit a prototype to you. The rulebook is a conversation over Skype.
Oh.
That's the true story. That's the true story.
Yeah, true story.
I swear I'm not making this up. We had somebody submit a game to us at Asshat. We bought it, we accepted it, we developed it, and they hadn't sent us all the rules. And it went to print, and got shipped, and people were playing it, and they didn't have all the rules. And we didn't even know because he had never given us all the rules, so how would we have known there was something missing?
Oh my.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I had to spend a month fixing the rules and writing up a new PDF and getting it to people and double checking everything. It was awful.
Yeah. I mean, and that reminds me of which one, Daryl? WizKids.
Yeah,
Yeah, that reminds me of WizKids.
that's an Eric Lang story.
Yeah. No, that was a Jeff Stahl story, isn't it? No, Eric Lang too, but
Eric Lang knows a person who submitted a game to WizKids. It was a pitch for concept on spec work. Without being notified, he then, a few months later, found the game on the shelf. Had not been paid. It was a pitch for spec. The game was made and published, and the rules was the pitch. With grammatical errors, with like everything. So then the designer obviously contacted them saying like, "What's up with this?" And they're like, "Oh, sorry, yeah, we'll send you the check."
Oh my god.
That's like the board game equivalent to waking up in a bathtub with a kidney missing.
yeah, pretty much, right?
Oh.
It's never
And then
happened to me.
No, and then you see it for sale in the lobby of the hotel.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
hey,
that's the
so back to marketing. As people who self-publish, how much would you spend on marketing? How much would you spend on marketing? If somebody said, I can make your sales increase by an order of magnitude. So we're talking like
if
10
they could
times.
measure the cost of acquisition of a customer.
Then I would pay them by that magnitude. That's easy.
But
Right.
how much?
How much?
It
What would-
had to be a percentage of goods sold. So I mean, good marketing's worth what? 10, 15%, 12%? 12% is what I paid for it last time. So
Yeah.
Okay.
And so would you pay 12% of products sold? Would they be working on commission?
it would be 12% of profit. You can't do it on 12% of products sold. You'll go out of business.
Right. Yeah.
Margins
Sorry.
are so small in the gaming industry.
Mhm. Travis, what about you?
We up until recently we were on like a very shoestring budget. So like right now I'm actually looking at my banner ad takeover on BGG that is a lot of money, and I know that we have another one. And normally, like, it's interesting. Like, we did not do any ads on Kodama, and Kodama made, $99,000. It was $99,000, and it was a $20 game. Excuse me. And
can you give people, just for people that don't know, a ballpark on things like banner ads and such?
it just depends. I mean, like, if you're on a really small budget, I would say go to KickTrack. The problem is, like, all these like search engine, like how they refer information back to you, all these analytics, they're all bullshit. Like they're oh look, wow, I didn't realize we were getting all of our traffic from Waffle House. Like, it's ridiculous. It's contrived information. So, I mean, I would say on BGG we usually about break even, but it does help create exposure. And then there's things like getting on like the image hotness or the hotness for BGG is more valuable than a banner ad on it. And even then, you're talking about like I think like some of the bigger distributors say that they think BGG is like 12% of the gaming populace or BGG users, and of that, Lance is like, "You're crazy! Like everyone and their brother is on BGG." And it's like I cannot count the times that I talk to someone at big conventions like Gen Con or Origins. I'm like, "Oh, do you watch Dice Tower? I don't know what that is. Are you a BGG user? I don't know what that is." Like, I mean, that comes up.
Dude,
more.
I just like games. Stop talking to me in acronyms.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to take this chance to say that I'm out of here. I've got to get ready for work, but it's been great being back on and talking to y'all.
Awesome. We'll see you later, Dylan.
Thanks, Dylan.
See you and the beard.
Hopefully see you sooner than last time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was awfully diplomatic.
He is very diplomatic. He's also Canadian, so he's like uber diplomatic.
Jeez.
So
diplomatic immunity, right?
yeah, well now you don't have it because he's gone. So watch what you say.
The diplomatic immunity was only in France, by the way.
Yeah, by the way. So Asmodee EU could not come after you.
Yes. Even
But
though
their
they
North
own
American
companies
subsidiary could
everywhere else.
totally come after you.
Yeah, they'll just
Hey,
come
that.
at you from Asmodee North America.
Hey, if Asmodee offered to buy Action Phase, would you sell?
I know the answer to this.
Yes.
Yeah?
For the right
for the right price.
money.
Yep. So
Sure.
it's
I would sell it, and I would want a full-time position working within them.
That sounded dirty.
it always sounds dirty.
It would be.
Yeah, with Travis in the mix, that would be totally dirty.
I think that day will come eventually, but I mean, we already had a bigger company interested in purchasing us, and it kind of didn't really go anywhere. But it was like the corporate equivalent of the thing I was complaining about earlier. People asking for advice, and they don't even really know what they want or what they're doing, or any questions. Or it was just kind of like we flew down and sat in a conference room for 2 days, and
it's sort of interesting. There's a lot of strange companies seeing that board games are a thing in a business, and they're acquiring the weirdest little game companies, and I don't know what they're going to do with them, but there's some.
A lot of them are just little autonomous studios that they need. I mean, we were talking about this recently. Is developers. I mean, this goes hand in hand with the other topic we were talking about.
Oh yeah, that topic.
Everybody wants to be the topic about the
half-baked games.
Half-baked games thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Great name for a company, by the way.
What's that?
Great name for a company, by the way.
That would be a great name for a company.
We're going to actually we're talking about putting the developer on the front of the box, a credit on the front of the box now.
Well,
and
I was just going to say, you guys do good development too. Like, there's a difference between both you and Nick are talented at developing, and you do it. Like, you don't want just the game as is. Versus there are a lot of companies, and a growing number of companies, that basically are saying, hand me the finished product. This is what I will make.
But the funny thing is that Travis originally was saying that that's what he wants. In some way.
I know, that's the catch-22, is you're offering a unique service that makes, in my opinion, Action Phase attractive, and yet you're kind of selling.
It's not just your pretty face, buddy.
I don't know. Actually, Sin, now that you bring that up, I don't know that that's necessarily what we want. I guess my complaint is we are completely fine with helping a game get to where it needs to be, right?
Yeah, and you're damn good at it, so keep doing that.
Like our philosophy is the first 80% takes about 20% of the time, and the last 20% takes 80% of the time.
Absolutely.
I don't know if Jim agrees with that or.
Yeah, the axiom is the last 10% is 90% of the work. It's the same, just different numbers.
Well, in Indiana, there's no such thing as 10%. We're a red state.
Yeah. Totally red.
Go Trump. What?
Oh God, don't know.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know that that's true, Sin. I don't think that. I don't know. I mean, it would. For example, do you guys know Chris Bryan from Board with Life?
Yep.
He just signed his game, and he came to us specifically. Like he said, hey, I have this game, but I really I think it's a good game, but I want you to do how you took Kigi and made Kigi Kodama. I want you to do that with my game. Yep. And what was interesting was he kind of knew we were the guys for the job, right? Like he was already aware of where
he watches the show.
Well, he was aware of the things that his game would have to have in order to be for example, Chris's game is very good, and if we were Z-Man, we could just put it out, and it could we say, oh, this Carcassonne type, whatever. But because we're a Kickstarter game, we have to have things like stretch goals in mind. And we have to sort of build the product up, right? It's also like the cost of manufacturing this game and stuff like that. We need to actually build it up so that it constitutes like a $30 price tag, because it won't fit in the 20. Putting it in the $20 box is just throwing money away. So, and his game is really good. Like, I would say of any person that has given us a game, his game was the most complete. Him and Daniel Solis, the second game, Trickster, that we have are the most games we've ever been given. Trickster is almost staying the same, except we are slightly tweaking the theme, and we're making it a multi-round scoring game instead of just being a single hand. So I don't know. I mean, I don't I like being part of that process, and I definitely think Nick and I bring something to it. Nick is like a mathematic genius, and he's just very Nick is everything that I'm not, and vice versa. Like
He
if Nick just
completes
made a
you.
game,
Is that what you're trying to say? That Nick completes you?
he is the Renee Zellweger to my Chewbacca.
To your Jerry.
Nice.
No, for anyone who likes to binge watch or just search, you can find a previous episode where we had Nick on with Gavin Brown, and they actually talked about this specific topic of development and logistics and those two worlds.
Yeah.
There's something so much fun about developing a product with somebody that is passionate and not stubborn asshole. And I miss doing that, but I don't miss working for people that don't know what they want.
And I think that is the crux of the problem of design in a lot of ways is, and Travis knows this because Travis and I talked about this, off air and way before. When Jay and I do game designs, we design a lot of games, and we design a lot of games up to very what we consider very finished in our realm of finishing. So they've gone through blind tests, they've gone through multiple play tests, like on two coasts of a country with two separate design teams, multiple times. And the thing about it is, though, from our perspective, is if we finish that game, we won't. If we finish to that 100%, we would never design another game. And that's not what we want to do.
Well, and you were spoiled right off the bat. I mean, look at Belfort, and you have someone like Seth Jaffe as your developer for a game where you saw right away the benefits of an incredible developer who freed you up to then work on the next game.
The other thing, well, yes and no. I mean, it takes a lot.
I mean, and then they keep grouping you back in. I mean, Seth's a very interactive developer, so he does include you throughout the entire process, and so you would test each iteration.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't have to do that. I mean, that's just the way he works, and he sees a value in including designers throughout the process.
Yeah, and so so we've seen the power of good development. But the other thing that happens is that if you design the game to finish, there's that tipping point where if we invest more time in it, then if the publisher wants to undo that, we've lost all that time that we could spend designing another game. And I mean, obviously, we come with more than just a concept.
What you're saying, Sin, is but how that translates to an untalented, lazy person.
Right, which is different than obviously people who would take your advice and then go make the game the way you wanted it.
What that translates to is like, oh, so I can do less work and get more out of it. So
no.
You're just gonna have to do the work later.
Yes, that's the thing.
Strangely, this industry is becoming a vanity platform for some people.
And I agree and that's where the problem is. And that's what separates the wheat from the chaff.
But is that really a new problem? Like, isn't that just the Nitzia?
In a way, yeah.
I mean, literally, I've heard stories where he has pitched to publishers, here's an equation, make a game out of it.
That's not even a story, that's the truth.
That's the truth. Like, we know. So it's like, isn't that even worse of an example?
I don't know.
But anyways, my point is that if the designer is willing to then take feedback and then go and develop the game to the way that you want it and then hand it off and then have further development by the company if the company wants to make changes, that's what people don't hear. And I think that's
all productive.
That's what you're saying, is that people probably only hear the first 80% or whatever, 70 or 50% in some cases, right? Or even less. And they think that's good enough. And Travis is here to tell you that it's not. And I'm also here to tell you that it's not good enough just to do that. Yeah. That you can't just hand off a product and say, now you develop it. I think it's a very team effort between the designers and the publisher and whoever the developer is or handler is in between that. There's got to be a mutual level of respect and an open line of communication Otherwise, somebody's going to end up unhappy. And the thing about what Travis is saying is definitely true. Don't show a company a half-assed product and expect it to go anywhere. They may give you feedback. They may play it and tell you that it's not, it's not ready, or that you need to do more work on it, and then just go do that. It happens all the time, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But I think what you're saying, Travis, is that some people are going, no, that's the game. That's it.
I mean, it's a question of quality control, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like from a very early, these people. So what we want to do, and this might sound arrogant, but like something that Nick and I want to do is we want to foster good habits with the people we work with, so that if we work with them again, it makes the process easier. And if they work with other people, maybe it'll make it easier for them, and then maybe they can help, and that'll kind of, rub off on people rather than the opposite, this like lazy entitled nonsense that I keep running into left and right. I mean, like, I got a message not that long ago from a guy that was just like, hey, I think I'm just going to start a game company. And I'm like, oh,
okay, go ahead.
How did you do it? And I said, okay, well, I worked a job that I hated for 2 years, and I saved $20,000. I married, luckily I married a woman with a very good job that was willing to support me, because the job made me want to kill myself, and she wanted me to pursue something that I actually enjoyed. I did not collect a wage for 2 years. In that time, I got married and had a child. Not very smart things to do when you're not collecting a wage. I did an inordinate amount of research. I drove all over the country going to cons and showing people a game that no one really wanted to see or care about, when I had zero contacts in that industry, and I cultivated those. And it's like, well, that sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
But it's got game in the name. It should be.
Right? And I mean, I think Kickstarter gives people a false sense as well.
People treat it like a credit card, right? I mean, I'll just go get somebody to give me money. I don't even need a full-fledged idea. And that's what Nistel did, right, before his company went under?
Yeah. And that's kind of so it kind of gets killed on two ends, right? It gets killed by those vanity type of, I'm going to do this because I could possibly do it, and it never comes to fruition. And I'm more like Jim in the sense that I see it and I saw it, and I still hope it should be like a patron of the art kind of setup, as opposed to a marketing tool for anybody with a product to sell. And I come from it from both ends, with products coming from Queen, which is a relatively big company, getting published, Kickstarted, which was very strange, and then very small companies doing stuff with our products. So it makes me feel kind of dirty when some of the bigger companies do that. But I guess one of the things that people don't understand yet again about the industry is that cash flow is a problem for everybody. I think I've said this a million times on this show, is that no matter how big a company you are, cash flow is king, and if you can get it, get it. That's the bottom line. And Kickstarter itself as a platform lets them do that. There's no rules against it, so they're going to do it.
For example, on a game like Kodama, we basically made, with pre-orders, we made over $100,000. Okay, on the $20 game. Mm-hmm. So some people are like, "Wow, you guys made a ton." It's like, no, we actually put the money back into the product, and then we print a ton of them so we can put them into retail so we can grow our company. And we off of that Kickstarter, we made like maybe $1,500 after that $100,000, after we paid Daniel, after the fees, after manufacturing, after freight. After that's, don't hit any problems with customs or like our game, like for Scoundrel Society, they lost all of our promos. The freight company lost $1,000 worth of promo cards. They don't know where they are. We don't know where they are. Things go wrong. I think people have this idea like, I made $100,000. No, you did not. As soon as that project funds, you stop being a game designer and you start being an entrepreneur, and you are responsible for executing that project competently.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think enough creators have that. Yeah.
Sen, you said something earlier. You were asking me during the interview, what will cause small companies to go away?
Yeah.
And really, what it is it's this sort of little fracturing that's going on. How many, off the top of your head, how many little companies can you think of that have 3 or less employees?
Tons.
Tons, them all.
Pick a number.
Pick it. Oh man.
Can we at least put a boundary, like in North America?
Let's say there's 100 of them, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay. Wouldn't it be smarter if those 100, because really you just have 100 people who think they have a better way of doing things than somebody else does,
Yep.
right? That's the only reason you become a game company, is because you think you're smarter than somebody else. Otherwise, you'd continue to design and sell your ideas to somebody else. Let them have the headache.
Or they want creative control.
Right, or you want creative control or whatever. If those 100 companies got together and formed a sort of co-op, right, so that they could compete with, say, Asmodee North America, right?
Some juggernaut.
Yeah, these juggernauts. These little companies have no footprint anymore at Gen Con. Gen Con changed its policy on how you get a table at the show. So none of these little guys have a footprint anymore. Now they're going to have to buy space from Studio 2, who buys a 300 square foot island at the show.
Right.
If these little companies co-op together and had all their import stuff coming in together at the same time, they start saving money together on shipping, right? They'd save money on customs. You have to buy an entire container, whether you fill that container or not, when you buy from China. So why wouldn't you coordinate all of us at the same time? Let's say the 4 of us all had different game companies we own. We all know that on March 31st, we're going to be putting in our order to China through Wingo, and Wingo's going to make sure all that stuff gets shipped to the same central point through PSI or whomever. Look how much money we just saved by co-oping together.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the same company,
But you could maintain a brand identity but still work together.
right.
I hear your idea, Kami, but why does that not happen?
Obviously not a red state.
Obviously, that's also not happening. There's not even one example.
Well, no. I know companies that will share freight.
Barely. Like I would like to see a lot more. You know, when we were at Origins last year, I thought we had saw a bubbling of a trend happening, and then it just totally fizzled out.
I see. IDGN tries to do this for the role-playing community. I don't know why nobody does it.
There's
for the
barely
board game community.
anyone in the board game industry that's doing a lot together.
Well,
Yeah.
I think so. All of the the goodwill, no NDA, handshake, my word is strong of oak shit that guys like Zev helped put into this industry is going to be destroyed in the next 10 years by morons that don't know what they're doing coming in, and there's just going to be need for legal recourse and a bunch of litigious condoms slipped over everything so that you can protect yourself.
Ken Whitman.
Oh God! If you're a board gamer and not an RPG guy, you probably don't know exactly who Ken Whitman is.
I don't.
Yeah. See, but in the RPG world, he is a pariah. He is the plague. Do not touch anything that he's ever done. Ever.
I think one of the reasons why we can't do it, and I'm not trying to ignore what you just said, Travis, because it was really smart, but one of the reasons, Daryl, we can't do it and you won't see more of it is, let's use let's use Travis and I as an example right here. I don't know him very well. This is the first time we're meeting. He sounds competent, right? But at what point do I hook myself up with teaming up with companies that are all led by people that have no follow-through? Not even whether or not they can be trusted. No follow-through to hit dates, that don't respond to emails. There's the classic story of Steve Jackson and White Wolf trying to coordinate on a project before. Go look it up on the internet. They were just trying to put out GURPS books with White Wolf material in them. And Steve had put a clause into the contract that pretty much would have put White Wolf out of business.
That sounds like a good Steve thing.
Had he enforced that clause in that contract. And so that ground the whole thing to a halt. And who suffers? The fans who were promised all this great material. And if we could find a way to coordinate and co-op and be able to trust one another, just on the simple merit of work ethic.
Yeah.
Imagine there's no color.
I was going in the other direction with my cynicism.
Try.
Yeah, I like that you're pitching this with post-world games, but
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So what would
Let's
it
go
take?
back. Let's go back to what Travis was saying, though.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are we actually going to get bogged down in legalese? Do you think? Do you think
There's going to be some sort of financial regulation on Kickstarter. It's like a friggin' tree that money grows on.
I get the Kickstarter side, but what about just the whole side of the nature of, you know, I show you a game
Friendly.
without paperwork signed saying you won't rip this off, all that jazz. You think that's going to change?
I'm the one who posed it. What do you guys think?
I hope
think,
not. I actually see North American publishers more potentially guilty of this. When I talk to European ones, I don't see that ever coming. Like the handshakes, the cooperation sounds so much more.
They're very old school. They're very well, you know, it's very European.
It's like I've literally had prototypes that I've pitched to a publisher that they were interested, and then as they played it more, they were like, actually, I think this is a better fit for my competition. I'll mail it for you.
Yeah. Travis, are you seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I won't say who, so you guys know. So this person took our games at Gen Con. They wanted to basically publish with their company in Europe. We've been waiting. We've had to put bigger companies like Asmodee and Yellow, who are interested in getting some language licensing rights to some of our games. I was told. I finally messaged. I was like, "Hey, it's been 6 weeks since we spoke to you. We've sent you an email. No one's replying." This individual apologized to me, said they were very sorry. I said, "Look, we would like to work with you." I have a message from him saying, "I promise you, this is so embarrassing. I will take care of this. You will receive my final answer by Monday." No email.
You know what's funny though? This shows that you have not been a designer for a year.
What are you talking about?
This is the life of a designer.
What do you mean? I've been a designer for like 3 years.
I know. I'm saying like you haven't had a game out this last year.
Sure, I'm just saying that this is a licensing deal, not a design.
No, I know. I'm just saying like waiting a long time.
Well, but my point was that we have other people who are ready to sign on the dotted line, and I'm trying to go by my word, and I'm not being rewarded for my word. So.
Licensing contracts are a million times worse than. Why am I getting an echo? That's weird. Licensing contracts are a million times worse than trying to sell a game because there's so many people that have to look at it. And we dealt with Jim Henson back in the past. I've heard stories about trying to deal with George R. R. Martin. And these people hold everything back.
It's it's not easy. I mean, we've gone through, like on Heroes Wanted, we went through like a prolonged 6-month process with Asmodee Germany, where the deal just kept getting cut in half and half and half, and then the euro tanked, and then it was like we stood to make like $3,000 if nothing went wrong, and we had to take all of the responsibility of printing it. And, like some people are like, "That's amazing." Or like Asmodee France wants to print your game. Yeah, they want to print 1,000 copies. It's like I have to like beg the printer to even do that in China in some instances, and if I do, I'm going to be paying an ass load. And yeah, you can do print runs, but what often happens is these foreign companies are contacting you after you're already in motion, so you can't just throw it on your order. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's not just an add-on to a bigger print.
Yeah, so it's weird.
Yeah, maybe it is Travis.
I'm echoing?
Well,
I think it's you, Sam.
no.
I hear no echo at all.
See, we don't hear Travis. I wonder. Travis, turn off your mic for a second. Okay, now let's talk.
Oh, yeah, it's totally Travis.
Totally Travis.
Travis, no
anyway,
headphones.
not a big deal. I think it's the no headphones deal. But we should actually get going because it's about 1 o'clock. I see it is you, Travis.
Sorry, man.
It's okay. We love you. Jim, just before you go, you said you were going to call me out. What are you calling me out on?
He needs filler time, which I don't know how much filler time because he hasn't even told us how much filler time he needs. I think he's trying to get his microphone ready.
Oh, okay. To like destroy me or something? I don't
Something. I think he needs a special mic to call you out on.
know. Oh, okay. I feel like this is going to be like a ladder match or some
I always feel
lumberjack
like
match or something.
he's standing up and over the camera because he's going to eat the camera or yell at it so much. So
Well, he does yell
It
at
is.
it, but I don't know if he's going to eat it. So Jim, are you back? I see
yeah,
your
he's
phaser.
definitely here. He's ready
Oh,
for
there you
the.
are. Okay.
Oh, but we can't hear him.
Well, with Travis's mic issues and oh, there's Jim and his mic. Yep. Is your mic back on, Jim? I think we're running into some pretty major technical difficulties.
I think that's a sign.
That might be the sign, guys. So, yeah. Oh, there's Travis. Yeah,
Listen, you're the ones that turned my mic off.
We do all suck.
I'm trying to do the Skrillex version of the after show. Why can't
This
you
is
guys
what it
just
is.
let me-
All right, so we're gonna say goodnight, and we'll be back in a week. Daryl, who is on next week?
That's a good question. I do not have that window open to let you know that, so you'll have to wait.
Okay, you heard it here first. Wait. It's so funny hearing it twice.
Wow. Excites. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Wrap it up.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, Travis, we'll see you later, buddy.
Take
Adios,
care.
amigos.
Jim, we'll see you later too, bud.
Yep. See you guys.
Well, there's your mic. Jeez.
What? Now it's working?
Yeah, now it's working.
Now it works fine.
Maybe it's
Okay.
Travis. Travis was cutting you off.
Yeah, stupid Travis. I didn't.
Well, what's your final rant?
Oh, now the mic's gone.
I think it's the rant. I think the rant's cutting you off.
Yeah, the rant that the internet couldn't handle. That's what this is.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Oh.
All right.
Can we hear you?
Now we can hear you. Oh, he's gone.
Oh my goodness. What a mess.
That was a hot mess.
That was beautiful. What a way to get rid of two guests.
All right.
On that note, thanks everyone. Have a great week. We'll try to let you know who's on sometime this week or next week.
We'll see you guys later. Bye.